with something very straightforward that goes to the heart, the core of being president and commander-in-chief. Are you able to keep the country safe? Can you tell the truth about matters of state, of war, and peace? It's a big thing, right? And Donald Trump basically caught lying about what is now his unending war and dealings with Iran.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war.
Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruptions, and we will have prosperity and peace for all. No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. With our victory in November, the years of war, weakness, and chaos will be over. I don't have wars. We had no wars. I could stop wars with a telephone call. I could stop wars with just a telephone call. If properly stated, it would never start. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
And on it went. Indeed, if you're watching that and thinking you didn't believe him at the time, fine. You were right. But there's evidence that a lot of other people did believe him. They're angry about it now. If he could stop this war with a phone call, well, we're way past phone calls. Donald Trump and his team have traveled, they have cajoled, they've held hours on hours of meetings and negotiations and diplomacy, and he can't stop this war. We are in a worse place energy-wise than when it started. That's why everyone's paying higher gas prices. This has become a stalemate, and some view it as a potential quagmire. Trump failing to secure a deal. The war's gone on longer than he said it would. One Iranian official now saying a deal with Trump is no longer even feasible at this stage. That would sound like even any deal. Trump claiming the opposite.
So we're having very good negotiations with the people that are leading the country now. I think that we'll either have something done fairly quickly or we'll finish it out militarily. We're very close to having a deal, and if we don't have a deal, we'll do it one way or the other. Either way, we win.
Talking about winning without winning is like talking about avoiding wars and not avoiding them. And unlike certain issues where people say, oh, Trump's getting away with it, or people don't know the whole story, people understand in the United States that they're paying more for gas because of Trump, that the war is open and ongoing. They've heard about the strait being compromised. People know what's going on. Our top story tonight is basically two things. It's this problem with the war, which is a very real world thing, and it's the related collapse of Donald Trump here in the second term. We've been following that story across different topics, and we've seen rising Republican pushback against him. We've seen special elections and primaries that show a revolt. We've seen top Republicans and Trump allies and Steve Bannon say they're not just going to lose the House, they could lose the Senate. Now, nobody knows what's going to happen. That depends on how you and everyone votes. But we're seeing something larger here. So that's the top story. It is the problem in Iran and the wider Trump problem, as the public knows that when Trump talks about winning, he is wrong and lying. Fuel prices up, hostilities up with Iran and Israel, people paying more at the pump. National average is above $4 a gallon, and we are way past a period of time where Trump promised the war would actually be over. But the gas problem might hit you more or less depending on where you live. If you are in a place where you don't travel a lot for work or daily life, or you're in a city where you might take public transit, it hits you a little bit. Versus if you're in a place where you're driving all the time and you're picking up the kids and you're going back to camp and you're going back to picking up from sporting events, and all of that gas is changing your budget. That's what a lot of people are going through. But that's, again, just one piece. If this ended quickly, it might end there. But as I've just reminded you, it's not. And so it's dragged a wider economy. It's affecting inflation and the Fed and other issues, going against what Trump wanted. Remember, he had hoped to juice the economy and get help from the Fed going into the midterms. That's not happening. Trump's approval crashing. He's underwater by about 26 points in this poll. That makes him the most unpopular president since that survey started. And he has the earliest crash of any second-term president in the modern era. Turning to the DOJ tonight, President Trump formally nominating Todd Blanche to be Attorney General. He has been in that role in an acting capacity. GOP Senator Grassley has confirmed that the Senate has now formally received that nomination. We live in an era where the president saying something doesn't always mean it's really happening. So this is the formal, actual enactment of what Trump had previously suggested, which is he wants Blanche to be AG. There's been an audition process. Blanche has clearly made Donald Trump happy by doing things that no other attorney general have ever done, including rolling out this over $1 billion criminal fund, which is currently paused in the courts. And the DOJ later said they're rolling it back, but Trump continues to talk about how he likes it. His DOJ, I'll remind you, put in writing that the embattled fund paused in court was now dead.
I think the weaponization fund is a great idea, and so do many other Republicans. You have to get it approved. If they get it approved, that's great. If they don't get it approved, I'd be disappointed.
What you'll notice there is a president who is still decent at PR and doesn't want to act like he's completely out of the loop and then be embarrassed by the courts potentially showing him and the DOJ to be powerless to do something like that. So he quite directly references that they may not be able to do it. They don't have the power. And then, as we mentioned, he did this infamous walkout from the venerable show Meet the Press. Again, if you want to kind of clean your eyes and say, do presidents normally do this? No, they don't. And it came not at a random time, but in what apparently direct response to him not being able to handle straightforward questions about how he can't back up election lies.
The election was rigged. It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's happening again right now in California.
You've never presented evidence.
I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged.
Let's call it quits, because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. We
Come on,
traveled
let's go.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
He'd had enough. He'd had enough, as you can see there. Now, that is what real journalism looks like. And let's be clear, it's not always just the easiest thing to sit face to face with any president, let alone one who tends to interrupt and hector and has threatened all kinds of opponents, including journalists. And that journalist, our former colleague, Ms. Welker, stood her ground, asked the questions. She wasn't pushing him in any biased way. She just kept at it. And what happens when you do that with Donald Trump? I mean, this is a real moment because it shows something that's so different from all of the bubbled special scenarios he likes to be in. When somebody actually sits with him, cameras rolling, and continues to press him to just try to substantiate some of these lies. It's not only that he can't substantiate them, which is a useful public service for people to see, but in this case, he actually just has to bail. He can't handle the questions, can't handle the truth, as it were. Meanwhile, the DOJ has still opened election fraud investigations in Blue, California, where they are looking at what they claim to be vulnerabilities. Trump had criticized their ballot system. A lot of that opens the door to whether they are going to try to use these as a pretext to abuse power. There's a report that the DOJ is also trying to dismantle safeguards going into the midterms, deleting a guide about prosecuting election offenses and other details. They haven't taken the steps to establish the command centers that are usually there to try to monitor emergencies on a nonpartisan basis, either, three sources told Notice. The New York Times reports the FBI director has this so-called grand conspiracy probe that's trying to bring together basically different old complaints and turn them into criminal cases. It's set off now cascading crisis within U.S. Attorney's Office. It's derailed careers and undercut DOJ credibility with judges. DOJ vets say it was a Frankenstein monster with an assortment of these long-dead investigations that were supposed to be stitched together and brought back to life. FBI leadership demanding daily updates or near daily updates on the case, which is usually only reserved for national crises.